We are going to hear about the Utah Arts Endowment Fund from Carol Nixon and Sherry Waddington.
Thank you very much. Art is important to Utah. It is part of our heritage, the definition of who we are as a people. From Native American hieroglyphics to Mormon handicrafts and folk art, to the new and beautiful works by world-renowned artists, creative expression brings us together in our diversity, giving us a sense not only of belonging, but of destiny. After only 3 years of statehood, Utah was the first to establish a public arts agency, an agency dedicated to advancing the arts in all their phases. That was 1899. With Utah's example, other states began to create their own arts agencies, our nation itself giving birth to the National Endowment for the Arts in 1965. Life was not always easy for these organizations. We all remember our turmoil at the turn of this decade, which continues even today. Many of our arts organizations, even the National Endowment, became lightning rods for controversy and political maneuvering. Funding was tight. In many cases, it was cut. Some declared a cultural war, while other state and federal lawmakers responded out of economic necessity. In this challenging time, our state, again, because of its dedication to the arts, demonstrated its leadership by creating an innovative program called the Utah Arts Endowment Fund. Beginning in 1990, with a request by Governor Norman H. Bangerter for $2.5 million, the program's purpose was to provide an arts stabilization funding from interest-based and not tax-based income. Such a novel approach attracted attention from all areas and both political parties. Support was created through a series of statewide arts community meetings and consultations with legislators. When the day came for the members of the 48th legislature to vote, we knew we had broad support. Still, we were overwhelmed when the first endowment fund of its kind in the nation passed in both houses of the state legislature with unanimous support. It was such a momentous occasion that John Frohnmeyer, then chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, was in attendance. Standing after the vote, he said, "Utah does it again. You are indeed a leader in the arts. You recognize that creativity will be the currency of the next century, the heart and soul of what we are as Americans. I will tell every state around the country what a wonderful thing you have done today to ensure that their arts remain vital into the next century." The endowment fund, which received a matching grant of $750,000 from the National Endowment, is an unconditional success today, serving the arts, artists, and citizens throughout Utah. It provides life-giving support to the smallest rural arts organizations, as well as invaluable assistance to the world-class Utah Symphony, Utah Opera, Ballet West, Utah Shakespearean Festival, and others. Likewise, it offers direct assistance to individuals, folk, and ethnic artists. Simplicity is a hallmark of the program. Thus, it can easily be replicated in other arenas. Arts organizations simply apply for the support and raise matching funds. The minimum allocation is $2,500 for the smallest organizations, with all other participants receiving approximately 10% of their 3-year average income figure. Organizations eligible to receive less than $50,000 simply take their match to the Utah Arts Council, where accounts are set up with the state treasurer. Those organizations eligible to receive more than $50,000 are able to withdraw their state funds directly after proof of their cash match. They manage their own endowments. The significance of this program is readily seen in the more than $6.3 million that have been deposited into endowment accounts since the program began. This serves almost 100 arts organizations of all sizes and generates some $328,000 in interest annually. As arts organizations continue to contribute in the years to come, we will witness a self-sustaining, public-private, active, efficient, and community-enriching program which will provide invaluable resources to a most important human need, our culture. This, of course, is what President John F. Kennedy sought when he said, "To further the appreciation of culture among all the people, to increase respect for the creative individual, to widen participation by all the processes and fulfillments of art, this is one of the fascinating challenges of these days." Ladies and gentlemen, Utah's meeting that challenge.
Thank you. We have used up the first 5 minutes, but now we are at the question period, and I'm going to open that with Vin's question of you, followed by Max.
I actually have two questions. The first question probably just reflects my lack of understanding of how the program actually works, but is there a danger here that over time you establish sort of a protected group of art funds recipients, and that if funding dries up for any reason or becomes tougher to get, there are organizations that will come along the line down the road that simply can't get in on the act, if you will?
That's one of the issues that we thought about early on in developing the program, and at the time that we started it, it was a pilot program, and we decided that we would wait till the end of the program to evaluate how well it went, if we could then approach our legislature again for another round of supplemental funding, opening the program up to the new organizations that had come on the scene since the first program was initiated. We're very fortunate in Utah right now to have some of that supplemental funding available, and also to have a very healthy arts climate, and we are looking at this very next session approaching the legislature for yet another round of supplemental funding to give those organizations who were not there at the time this program started a chance, as well as to add to the endowment accounts of the organizations that already have existing accounts.
But the availability of new funds really is required for new organizations to be able to participate in the program.
That's correct. For this program, it would be.
My second question is, you've been able to leverage, you indicated, additional corporate philanthropic monies because of the state match. My question is, has anybody done an analysis of that, and do you know if you've diverted corporate giving from other recipients, and if so, who are they?
Yeah, that was one of the major concerns, especially for our very large arts organizations when we first started talking about the program and how we might design that program. To avoid that, initially, in fact, very early on in the program, the large organizations decided that they would band together to create an organization, a separate nonprofit called Utah Arts Endowment, Inc. And that organization had members from the boards of each of the large groups and some smaller groups, and they decided to do a cumulative fundraising effort for everyone and to approach only those donors that were not traditional donors to the already existing budgets of those large groups. Interestingly enough, they were successful. There were folks who doubted that the sources would be there in Utah, but they went out and over 3 years' time did develop $1.6 million and helped 61 of the arts groups reach their match without affecting donations to any of the other organizations. They also have assured us that they feel there are sources still remaining out there and they could do that again. But it was very much to their advantage to go out and do that together instead of having 200 groups out knocking on the doors of the corporations across the state.
Two questions pending. The first from Max and then Tom.
My question actually is to follow up on this large organization, small, and then those who were so small they were left out. It seems to me that you have several categories, those who were not able to make the match, and that their situation is pretty strained, or it would seem to me.
Actually, one of the very most unique points about the program was there was no organization too small to participate. The minimum amount a group would qualify for was $2,500, but regardless of budget size, some of the groups that were part of the program only have $2,000 budgets, and we're still able to obtain funding through this program and open endowment accounts of over $5,000, giving them an extra $500 or so a year that they could count on. So the large groups that band together to do fundraising ultimately ended up helping mostly the smaller groups. There were in the end only 3 of the about 9 larger groups that really took money from that cooperative effort, and they provided the match needed by the very tiny groups across the state to open their accounts, which was an incredible accomplishment and cooperation among those groups.
The last question by Tom.
The argument is that the National Endowment is money that is used by the elite for the elite. Could you respond to that in Utah? I mean, do you feel that the programs provide for excellence and access, and the money that you provide some stability and education? I mean, do they do all those things in Utah? Is it generally accessible to people?
Definitely. We have great outreach programs that take them across the state, and they're all sizes and shapes of arts programs, all of them affected by the NEA monies and this program. So.
Thank you.
Just an editorial comment. I like the question.